GettingPositiveKarmaNow.com presents Bhagavad Gita for All, lectures by Nalan K. Narula, recorded in front of a live audience.
Namaste Narasimhaya Pralada Lada Daine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatangkhanakalaye Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatangkhanakalaye Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha Yato Yato Yamitato Narsimha Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha Yato Yato Yamitato Narsimha Bahir Narsimha Hriday Narsimha Narasimham Madhim Sharanam Prapadye Bahir Narsimha Hriday Narsimha Narasimham Madhim Sharanam Prapadye Tavakara Kamala Bare Nakham Arbuda Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Tavakara Kamala Bare Nakham Arbuda Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Narsingha De 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 Jaya Prahlad Maharaj 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare ओम ज्ञानं तिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनश्लाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। Last time we had completed text 24 of chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, and that is the chapter on nature, consciousness, and the enjoyer. And Krishna had explained the difference between the material and the spiritual, and who is the enjoyer, the knower of all the fields. And in text 24 he had said that या एवं वेत्ति पुरुषम प्रकृतिम च गुणैः सह सर्वथा वर्तमानो अपि न स भूयो अपि जायते. That one who understands this philosophy regarding the living entities, regarding material nature, the material modes of nature and the interaction between all of these, and is situated in that understanding, that person never takes birth again in the material world. So that is where we had left last time. Text 24. And now we will proceed with text 25. ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिद् आत्मनाम् आत्मना अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्म योगेन च अपरे. ध्यायेन आत्मनि पश्यन्ति केचित् आत्मनाम्. By meditation on the self, one can see the super self or the super soul, and others can see it by philosophical discussion, Sankhyena, by analytical study, where they analyze there are 24 elements and the 25th is the soul. And then we have the Hatha Yoga system, and then we have the Karam Yoga system. Karam Yoga meaning linking oneself to divine purpose, to doing all activities without a desire for fruitive result. Now, Karam Yoga is what we are actually doing in the healing process, linking everything we do first with desire, because there is a stimulation of the desire to achieve something, and we use the healing energies, the universal healing energies, and we link that to achieving certain results, and eventually in the process you become increasingly desireless, that you are not, you are actually detached from the results. So Karam Yoga also means Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarnam. So hearing, very important, and speaking, chanting, and then meditating on the divine. So this is a very important process. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarnam. Keeping that in mind, if you are chanting the names of Krishna or his expansions, and you are looking or remembering him in his form as in the Vedic scriptures, and even the even those who are Sankhya yogis, they are also philosophizing, and they are also referring to the scriptures about the form of Krishna, and they are trying to get there by analytical study. And Krishna says that the end of all knowledge, of all study, of all science is to attain to me eventually. So all come together in this process. The best, of course, is Karam Yogena with the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarnam aspect. Then we have text 26. Anyatu evam ajananta Shrutavan yebhya upasate te api chaititaranti eva mrityum shruti parayana. Anyatu evam ajananta. Without this spiritual knowledge, there are others also who just by shrutva, hearing from others, upasate, begin to worship, and they also atiranti, transcend or go beyond the material nature, and they also transcend eva mrityum, the path of death, and shruti parayana, because they are inclined to the process of hearing. So here there is talk of those who are not really knowing anything about spiritual knowledge, but just hearing from those who have heard from spiritual authorities or the spiritual masters. They also go beyond the path of birth and death. So it is not only those who have a spiritual master who can progress, but there are those who listen to those who are listening to spiritual masters and then conveying this knowledge further. If they listen from them, if they hear from them, they also transcend this path. So this is very significant, because if you do congregational chanting, for example, there is no high philosophy, there is nothing, it is just a matter of hearing. So one who hears, because these sounds are transcendental in nature, they are spiritual in nature, they will take one to the point of spiritual understanding and liberation, going beyond birth and death and repeated cycles of birth and death. There is some message. So people who are unknowingly engaged in this process also will go beyond the repeated cycles of birth and death. Then we have text 27. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavara jangamam kshetra kshetragya samyogat tad vidhi bharatarshabha. Bharatarshabha is Arjun, chief of all the Bharats, the Bharat dynasty. Yavat sanjate kinchit sattvam sthavara jangamam. Whatever you see that is existing, whether it is moving or not moving, kshetra kshetragyam, the knower of the field and the field, it is a combination of the two, samyogat, union between the two, tad vidhi, you must know that. So all that you are seeing in whole of existence is only a combination of the moving and the unmoving. Whether it is the unmoving or the moving, it is a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. So we had earlier seen that Krishna is the knower of the field. He is the ultimate knower of all fields. And if we look at another understanding of this, an expanded understanding of this rather, in the line of our Brahma Vaishnava Sampradaya, Now, Sri Madhavacharya has commented on this, saying that the word Kshetrajna, while it refers to the Supreme Being, the word Kshetra can also refer to Shri or Shri Devi or Lakshmi Devi, and that is the Shakti, the spiritual Shakti or feminine moving energy of the Supreme Being. Now, this is a very majestic energy, and this is the same energy that is known as the universal life force energy. It is the same energy that we refer to as Reiki. So it is the embodiment of pure consciousness, life force, and is very dear to the Lord. And she is always present, always inexhaustible. So some interesting points have been raised by Sri Madhavacharya, and one of the things he says, again very significant, that the human being, the jivas, when they were created by Lord Brahma, who was the first of all the embodied beings, the secondary creator of the universe, that he bestowed upon the jivas the aham akar, the form of aham, I am, the self-identity or ego from Lord Shiva, and the intelligence or the buddhi aspect, intellect, was given from Parvati, through which the knowledge of the world is obtained. And then Indra, Skand and Anirudh caused the mind to ascend. Anirudh is a direct personal expansion of the divine, an unseparated expansion. So it is a form of Krishna. And then there are so many other things, the moon and the sun and so on. But this is a very significant point, that if you look back at the 8 elements that Krishna mentions, and if you look back at the 3 elements that go with you in your next body, it is Man, Buddhi and Ahankar only. So these are governed by Lord Shiva, by Parvati Devi, and then the intellect is raised by Lord Anirudh with the help of Indra and Skand. They are also participating in this. So it is significant that the intellect part, the intelligence part, the third eye chakra and higher, is direct presence of the divine. The third eye, of course, the gateway, is governed by Lord Shiva again, as is your false ego. But there is also the presence of Parvati, which is the expansion of the Shri energies, the Lakshmi Devi energies of Shakti, moving energies. So in the light of this understanding, this shlok has even more significance for us, that Krishna is saying in this 27th text, that whatever you see in existence, whether moving or unmoving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. And the field of activity is full of the Shri energy, the Lakshmi energy. This is Lakshmi Dham, as we have, or Shri Dham, and above this is Shiv Dham, and then there is Hari Dham. So these are the 3 universes or 3 areas of existence that we connect with through our own body directly. So if we are working with the intellect, with the intelligence, with the higher chakras, we are able to ascend to this knowledge and understanding. And how is that to be obtained? That is to be obtained primarily through Karma Yogena, which is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, chanting the holy names, chanting the Maha Mantra, chanting the names of expansions of the divine, and discussions related to that. So that is Kirtan. And then Vishnu Smaranam means meditating on the form of the divine, not the impersonalistic aspect, but the actual form, so that you know what is the actual form of Krishna the actual form of Radharani. It is there, it is described in the scriptures, and we have depictions of them in various temples and various art and cultural expansions of this knowledge. So this is very, very significant for us, as I said earlier, because it is talking about the presence of the divine everywhere through the Shri energy or through the universal life force energy, and then that the Supreme Divine is present at the center of every atom in the universe. So that is a very significant realization to have, that everything that is moving and unmoving is a combination of the material elements and the divine energy. And in our case, we are also situated there. So we are the third party, you can say. There is the divine everywhere, which is beginningless and endless. Material nature is everywhere, beginningless and endless. And we are there also, beginningless and endless. So when the divine is actually the main field of activity, because when he breathes out, the whole universe and living entities are transformed, come into their form, and when he breathes them back in, they are going back into him. So he is actually the field of activity also. So all fields of activity rest in the divine completely. So he is the field, the knower of the field, and the enjoyer of the field also. So all the expansions of him, whether they are the jivas or others, or there are his separated inferior energy or separated superior energy, the material modes of nature, the triguna, or it is the Shri energy or the universal life force energy. They are all emanating from him and they go back to him, and they are eternal. So this is the understanding that we should take away with us today. And the methodology is Karam Yogena, to be detached from the results of or the fruits of our actions. But how? By doing our healing, so that we become gradually detached even from what we are asking the healing for. And Karam Yogena also means Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So this combination is perfect. You do your healing and you chant Hare Krishna and so on. So we will pause here today. We've done text 25, 26, 27 of the 13th chapter. That is about the field of activity, nature, consciousness. If there are any questions, I will take some questions today.
Once we finish this chapter, can we review it?
Yes, we will certainly review this chapter again, because there is a lot of information here about the construction of the universe, which you will find actually in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, expanded in greater detail there. But this gives us the understanding as to what is our nature, what is spiritual nature, what is material nature, and what is the way out from this place of birth, death, old age and disease and constant battle, misery. As Krishna has said earlier, that the field of activity is there, and then there are the living entities who create problems and enjoy or suffer. All that suffering and enjoyment is created by the individual living entities, because they are interacting in this material field, in the false ego aspect. Yes.
So from enjoyer we also become a knower of the field, means that is a graduation as a healer also?
Krishna is the supreme knower of the field, but he is the knower of all the fields. But one who knows this that what is his own position, what is Krishna's position, what is his position relating to other living entities, then he becomes gradually liberated. It is if you see, Krishna as mentioned earlier, that if you are seeing the super soul in all living entities of equal quality, and the individual also is of equal quality in terms of eternity, in terms of indestructible nature, then that person is knowledgeable and he sees Krishna everywhere and he transcends, goes beyond material nature. He has mentioned this in this chapter also. If you go to text 21, he says this, that while nature is the cause of all material activities and effects, the living entity is the cause of all suffering and enjoyments. That is text 21. And then he is describing, he says that he is present in the heart of every living entity, so he knows perfectly what everyone does. He is the master of all the modes of material nature, and so basically the Kshetra and the Kshetragya are two different things. As far as we are concerned, the material and the spiritual are two interacting elements here. So that is to be understood. So if you study this whole chapter.
Yes, I was studying the one only. In that case, we have said the knower is the soul, and that there is a super soul, and the Kshetra is the field of activity.
Field of activity, yeah.
And that is our body.
That is the body.
So earlier, when we were conditioned, we were just only conscious of our
only body
and the activity. As soon as we become a healer, that we also, the field of activity is also.
Yeah, you become more cognizant of what is going on and what is the internal aspect is there, that the eternal aspect of the soul and the super soul that is gradually revealed. So the owner of the body is different, that is the soul, but super soul is not the owner of the body. He doesn't enjoy that or suffer according to the body. So that is there is a difference. He is there as the super soul, as the witness, as the overseer, through whose guidance you get your inspiration to act according to your karmic bank balance. And also if you desire to be liberated, then he helps you on that path. So as you work with your desires and feelings, he will deliver to you that understanding how you can achieve it. So all the way from people who are engaged in this process to those who are just listening, from those who have already listened through authoritative sources. So in other words, preachers. So those who are preaching this to others, they are also the ones who listen, they are also the ones who can be liberated. Okay. Yes.
Vansi has a question.
Yeah.
Can sir explain one more time about Karma Yogena?
Yeah. Karma Yoga is given in the, I think, 3rd through 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, about how you work with detachment from the fruits of the result. You do it as a duty or as an obligation. So the understanding is raised all the way from duty, obligation to detachment. That you have this duty, you have this obligation, and you are not attached to the results. However, in practice, we are attached to results. And even when you are first coming to the healing process, you are attached to results because you want relief. Krishna says elsewhere that 4 types of people, pious people, approach me. That is the Artharthi, Jnani, Jigyasu. So those who are in trouble of various kinds, those who are curious, those who are actually searching for knowledge and actually know my position, or are wanting to attain to the Supreme, they come to me and gradually I helped them to get out of that process. So that was the one aspect of Karma Yoga, and we have seen that there is also the understanding that Karma Yogin means acting in the spiritual consciousness, which comes to Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarnam. That is the base. That you hear about the divine, you meditate, you chant about the divine, and then you remember the divine or meditate on his form. So these things are very important. So the combination of doing your healing plus chanting the Maha Mantra or other such mantras that are there, they are the ones that will liberate you from the material zone of existence. The healing energy will provide for, you can say, it can provide solutions, give you relief from your pains. That Krishna has said 4 types of people come to me with various degrees of pain or curiosity, or pain of not knowing, pain of being separated from the divine, or bodily pain, financial problem, pain. So all those pains he will take care of through this energy. So you have this working energy that is the working arm of that promise. And then in the process of chanting, meditating and remembering Krishna, you come to the point of liberation. So whether you're a philosopher, whether you are a hatha yogi, or you are doing meditation, so the best meditation, highest meditation, is to meditate on the sound and form of Krishna. So these are the highest meditations. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarnam. This is the process. So he has mentioned in text 25, Dhyanena Atmani Pashyanti Kechid Atmanam Atmana. So that one is perceived best through meditation of this kind, and that is actually the best form of Karma Yoga. So Dhyanena, so this Dhyan, so Dhyan comes from meditating on the form of the physical form as presented to you, and the sound form, the sound vibration. Because sound is present in all subsequent elements of all matter, transcendental or divine sound will reorganize the matter to a spiritual level, where it will spiritualize even the material. It evokes the spiritual energy, which eventually means that the sound alone can actually change your karma. When you are chanting the Maha Mantra and you clap your hands, it is said that you are changing the lines of your destiny, of your fate. So just by chanting the Maha Mantra also, you change your destiny. So if you combine these two processes, that there is a, you can say, a internal external process, or a receiving and outgoing process. So the internal process is to meditate on the sound, and the external process is that you channel the healing energy to whatever you do. So when you combine these two, it becomes an extremely powerful combination to liberate you from the material zone, and it improves your life at a different level than what you have experienced as healers. So you combine the two, that is the best.
Son Gautam is saying, respected master, please explain further on how one should meditate on the divine form.
Well, you have his form in the form of murtis, you have the form in depictions of paintings and drawings. So you can look at those, and you can meditate on those internally, even with closed eyes. You can look at the form, so you look at the deity form, you look at the form that is there in depictions, So any of these will be absolutely fine. Okay. Yes?
Radharani is always with Lord Krishna? Radharani is always with Lord Krishna?
Well, she is his closest potency, and she is there with him. Sometimes he disappears, then she has to look for him. Because he is very renounced, he can walk away from Radharani also, and he has done. So it's different. So when you say he is always there with him, there are different understandings of him being always there, or she rather being always with him. So she is his innermost pleasure potency, but he can renounce that also, and sometimes in his pastimes he has, then Radharani has to look for him. So Radharani her name is Arandhate, the one who serves Krishna the best. That is how the name came. In the whole of Bhagavatam, her name is not mentioned except at the end as Arandhate. The one who serves Krishna best is Radharani. So that is her significance. She is the most dear.
I find it difficult to visualize.
Yeah, it's difficult to visualize. So
I want to see them together.
they are together. They are together. Okay. So we will conclude here today. We have done text 25, 26 and 27 of chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita. Nature, enjoyer, consciousness. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
You've been listening to Nalin K. Narula on GettingPositiveKarmaNow.com.